Our dear fraternity, Vanakkam. In my second lecture, I would like to point out and make a reference from the Hindu World by Benjamin Walker, Volume 2, published by George Allen and Unwin, London, in the year 1968. This is an encyclopedic survey of Hinduism. From this, under the caption of Mahabharata, very vitally they quote the story itself, whether believable or probable, that is a question of questions. The story itself occupies, to quote, only about 1/4 of the poem. The rest is episodical, compromising cosmology, theogony, statecraft, the science of war, ethics, legendary history, mythology, fairy tales, and several digressions and philosophical interludes, of which the best known is the Bhagavad Gita. So, how the Bhagavad Gita was an interpolation? Very clearly, they say out of this research. The most notable Daivikics are the result of Brahminical redactions of the text, where the religious and priestly interest is made to overshadow the heroic and the legends narrated and distorted to suit Brahminical bias in support of the Brahmin supremacy. This is very important, my dear friends. So, to underline it, it is meant to uphold the Brahmin supremacy. It is meant, and the very sole purpose of creating it is, for this, they created a Krishna. They created a Gita. And they had interpolated it. And how they want to bring that Krishna to the avatar. Avatar means from coming to the down, earth. That is avatar. The question arises, out of the Hindu pantheon, there are three main gods. One is Lord Shiva, another is Brahma, another is Vishnu. And the Brahma and Shiva, they don't have avatars. But only the Vishnu, whether it is subsequent thought or thing, they are Dasavatara, that's the 10th avatars. And out of the 10th avatar, how this happened? Jyotiba Phule, the greatest social fighter who lived in the Maharashtra and was the first, one of the pioneers of social justice fighters, he has completely propounded theory how the Aryans invaded the Shudras and the Adi Shudras, all these non-Aryans, and how they made them slaves through the system of the caste system. This is how they are doing it. And there is a research scholar called Gail Ahmed, and she has done a research work, Cultural Revolt in a Colonial Society, the non-Brahmin movement in Western India in 1873 to 1893. There clearly says, let me quote once again, because when it's a research work, then there is a research speech, I don't want to give my personal opinion. I'm just quoting and putting all these things from various authorities, from various research scholars, to quote the upper caste orthodox and the whole culture of the sacred books from the Vedas through the Puranas was seen by Phule, Jyotiba Phule, not simply as superstition, but as also as an alien and weapon of rule. The sacred religious literature was reinterpreted to show how the invading Aryans had conquered the indigenous people through force, treachery, and use of religious propaganda. The 9 avatars of Vishnu were seen as different stages of the Aryan conquest. The Matsya, the fish, and the Katsya, the tortoise, represents invasion by sea. Varaha, the boar, was so called because the original Aryans were seen as barbarians by the more civilized by the Kshatriyas. The story of Narsingh, the Lion Man, and Prahalad represented conquest by treachery and propaganda, where the mind of the local prince was coupled to the point where he was willing to kill his own father. Finally, Vaman, the Brahmin boy, represents a kind of culmination of the Aryan conquest of Maharashtra by cheating the great Bali of his kingdom. Phule did not, like the Tamil non-Brahmins, use the story of Rama to symbolize the conquest of South Assam, but the approach was the same. The Dasyus or non-Aryans and the Dabans of the Vedas and Puranas were said to represent the indigenous population and were depicted as enlightened kings and warriors and Aryans and their gods and treacherous invaders. My dear friends, the very object of this kind of Gita is to uphold the system of Varnashrama Dharma. That is why the Krishna, the avatar, he himself says, Chadurvarnam Maya Srishtam. The caste is my creation. The four Varna system is my creation. And even if I opt it, I cannot change it. That is Sudharma, because it is unchangeable law. So everybody will have to see. The Shudra must do his own duty. Others must uphold this one. And it is by their birth, not by any of the character or thinking. By this, later on, when there is a strong criticism against this one, there was some kind of fallacious explanation. No, it is all depends upon the quality of the man. After all, it is a division of labor and all these things. But it is not so. Baba Sahib Ambedkar has very rightly pointed out, it is not division of labor, it is division of laborers. That is very clearly he pointed out. And he say, head is doing one thing, just like brain, and the leg is doing another work. That is, this kind of fallacious argument won't do that. Because if you can touch the head by the hand, and we are not ostracizing the leg from the head, that is more important. But you are distinguishing person, man to man, untouchable, unseeable, unapproachable, all these kinds. So that is a very fallacious, unacceptable argument. And how intolerant, how cruel it is. Even if I cannot change that Sudharma, they very clear says. So the very object of them is, if it is a man-made cruelty, it could be changed. No, it is God-made. That too, God himself, the avatar himself comes forward and says, even if I will, I cannot change it. But if this kind of representative, that their quality, it means only their quality, gunam, that is more important, guna. But the Kanchi Sankaracharya has very rightly said, no, don't give this kind of, it meant only by birth. The birth, everybody, birth is deciding everything. That is why they found out karma and dharma. Later on, we will deal about. Thank you very much. Okay.